Alright, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are doing a mock draft, or actually, I have done a mock draft, and I will show you guys what I came up with. A lot of the things I've seen on ESPN or just heard about, what analysts would say. And then I also put in a little bit of my 2 cents and just who the guys I liked most, where I'd like them to be at, so on and so forth. So let's get started. So my draft picks right there. Number 1 overall, Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears. No explanation with that. I believe Caleb will settle in well with Chicago. He just seems like a really good guy, really talented individual. He's a quarterback that's ready to play NFL ball. And I just think he has the highest floor out of all the rest of the quarterbacks. In terms of ceiling, though, I believe it would go to the second quarterback, which is Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels, I liked his pocket awareness more than Caleb's. However, I think Caleb is a more durable quarterback. Jayden Daniels, I was thinking when I was thinking about wide receivers, Jayden Daniels, in terms of his overall ability and how he helped Malik Neighbors, I thought they both were just two guys that did very well for one another. I think they complemented each other very well, and if both systems or they do what LSU did with those two guys, I think those two guys will flourish to their highest potential. I think the only downside for Jayden Daniels is he can get hurt. Now, I am a Bryce Young fan. He is one of the shorter guys. I think Jayden Daniels' comp is Bryce Young with Lamar Jackson's height. But that being said, because Bryce is so short, his body is more compact. And I think that's why when you see Bryce get hit, it doesn't look so bad as when Jayden gets hit. Because of his body, he just looks like the film that I put on. Alabama game, he gets hurt. Missouri game gets hurt. Those are really two good defenses that this past year would look like the NFL's defenses. At number 3, I have Drake May going to the Vikings. Now, I think the J.J. McCarthy would be a better quarterback in the short run. Developing Drake May 1 year to sit, I think he's one of the youngest quarterbacks coming out besides JJ. But he's a bigger guy, more mobile, maybe, bigger arm. Maybe he seems like a Josh Allen, where he maybe tries to be Superman and tries to be the guy that has to save the team. I think in an offense like this, where Kevin O'Connell can scheme up something, it'll be good for him, where he doesn't have to do it on his own, improvise. He just can follow the scheme, and if he has to, he'll scramble out of there. I'm not the highest on Drake May. He would have been my fourth or fifth quarterback actually going off the board. But because everybody's rave on Drake May, I think the Vikings will come up and pick him. The fourth guy, I have Malik Nabers going to the Arizona Cardinals. Everyone is saying Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Malik Nabers, this guy does it all. He can run routes all the way to the end corner of the end zone. He knows how to run down the middle. He is a guy that doesn't get tackled once you hit him, and I think that was the biggest difference between Malik Nabers and Marvin Harrison Jr., which is why I chose Malik Nabers. He's more of a speed wide receiver, and that's what the NFL looks for, especially if you want to. I think he's more versatile. If you get another guy in the second or third round that can be on the outside, Malik can be in the inside, or if you don't, Malik can also be on the outside. Marvin Harrison's more like the guy that's a big slot. Everyone's saying he can get open, but he doesn't have breakaway speed. Which is why he is not my second either wide receiver going off the board. I have the Cincinnati Bengals trading up with Jim Harbaugh to go get Rome Odunze. I think this guy is comp. I think he will be better than T. Higgins. And I think I just didn't like Brock Bowers. I think the Bengals are going to trade it up. T. Higgins will be the Tyler Boyd. Rome Odunze will be T. Higgins. And Jamar Chase will be Jamar Chase. I liked the way Jamar Chase was played against the Rams earlier in the season, where their coach Taylor had moved him everywhere on the field. And I think that's the best thing to do with Jamar Chase. Keep Rome Odunze on the side doing go routes and have T be the guy to mix it up if those two are covered really well. The sixth guy, the Giants get maybe the number one off the board, but in my eyes, I think Harrison's he has not the upside of Rome Odunze and Malik Nabers, but he's a good quality wide receiver. I think Harrison will work great in New York. New York has always had really good wide receivers in the day with Odell Beckham Jr. and even I would say Victor Cruz, one of my favorite quarterbacks when I was growing up. Wide receivers growing up with the Victor Cruz Cha-Cha. I've always seen him and even Sterling Shepard a little bit. Those guys are always good playing the Cowboys. My dad's team, so you can't not like a guy that could be in the vicinity of being one of those top New York Giants wide receivers. But and then speaking of Daniel Jones, if he gets traded or he gets he's no longer with the team for any such reason, they're a prime team to get a quarterback next year or be within a trade for even like a Dak Prescott. Geno Smith of Seattle moves off of him. They can either go get also there's another guy I was thinking about. Trevor Lawrence of Jacksonville just doesn't like him, and that would be a good guy. I would want Trevor in Seattle, but that's just me. I think if you surround that guy, he has the potential to be great, Trevor. But that's my take on Harrison. Seventh guy off the board, Joe Alt. Everyone's comping Alt to Tennessee. I think it's just because not that Alt is the guy that Tennessee would like, but maybe just the first guy that everyone has off the board, and I don't think anyone else is having the Chargers take Joe Alt for some reason. Maybe he's too big and not mobile enough. That's what I've heard. Or it's just not as a good developmental school for these offensive linemen. Who knows? But his dad played in the league, so maybe he'll be pretty good also. Number 8, we have Dallas Turner, another comp that everyone is going after. Dallas Turner, I think the Joe Alt and Dallas Turner, these guys are two guys that everyone has going in the top 10, but I think these guys are the two that probably could escape most likely the top 10 because there's so much talent in back of them that are equivalent to them that maybe are more raw guys and not finished guys for the NFL. So that could be coached up even better. But I think out of these two guys, if you were to go with one of them, I would say Joe Alt is the guy. I don't think tackles get much better from college, in my opinion. Probably because the competition is way better in the NFL. Dallas Turner, however, he's a long guy. My comp would be if he is really good right now, he has the potential to be Micah Parsons. I think they can move this guy all the way around the front center, and even as a middle linebacker had Micah Parsons was like that in Penn State. As like a middle linebacker, I think maybe they could do that for the Falcons. But yeah, Micah Parsons as a Dallas Turner comp is really nice. You can look at his numbers, his height, his arm length, his speed. I think maybe he's not the greatest bull rusher as Micah Parsons is, but I think he has the speed to be Micah. So future Micah going, Dallas Turner going to the Atlanta Falcons. Brock Bowers going to the Indianapolis Colts, trading up with the Bears. I had them getting Indy's number 1 and number 2 round pick. So number 15 in the first round, and I think later in the second, something in the 40s. So with that, the Bears would probably get. You'll see. I'm only gonna show you my first round, but the Bears will most likely get. I would see a wide receiver with that pick, and get a defensive tackle, an elite defensive tackle, with this pick trading down. And then they also have their third rounder as well, I believe. Unless I traded the first. I think actually I traded the first and the third for the first and the second with Indy. So they'll still get a pretty good wide receiver. I think I had them taking. Is it Roman Wilson or a slot wide receiver? I could be wrong. I could have him taking Jalen Polk. I like Jalen Polk a lot. I just think he was a good number 2 to Rome Odunze for the Bears. But on to Indianapolis with Brock Bowers. Got a little sidetracked there. On with Indianapolis with Brock Bowers. I think Brock is a guy that won't go out of the top 10. Everyone seems to like him. For me, I just like a tight end that could do more than just be a slot receiver. To me, if a tight end is just a slot receiver, Bowers is a big guy, but he needs to be. He really needs to know his routes, know how to get open, because he's a slower guy. that's really all I got for Brock Bowers. I don't think Indy will stay where they're at and get a defensive guy at pick 15. I don't see them getting a wide receiver. They already have two. They have their long shot guy in Josh Downs, and they also have their bigger wide receiver in Michael Pittman Jr. that just got signed. So they could stick and pick one of the corners. They could jump up into the corner position like they're here with the 9th pick. But I think Indy's a prime team to get a really good tight end in Brock Bowers. Number 10, I also have a trade up. Jared Verse to the Los Angeles Rams. As a Seahawks fan, I don't like this as much, but they just lost their guy, their future Hall of Fame defensive tackle in Aaron Donald. And so I just think with the first pick that the Rams have, I think they're almost set like Seattle, where they just need a few pieces to get in there, to get into a really nice playoff push like the Bengals, to get a really good playoff push. So Jared Verse, the Los Angeles Rams, a nice bull rush. If you can teach that guy to just keep moving and going for and get Aaron Donald out there to help that guy produce a little bit more. Jared Verse, I think he has the biggest upside out of all three edges. I think he has the biggest upside. He's a heavy hitter. He has a big bull rush, like I said. I liked Jared Verse, his game the most out of Dallas Turner and Laiatu Latu. I think he'll just be the most impactful. I think the Rams is just a really good fit for him. I think I had the Rams losing a second and a first. Their first, of course, going up, trading up with the Jets, because the Jets just got sniped with Brock Bowers. And so the Jets will be able to get possibly a tackle, dropping down just a few spots to, I think, 19, where the Rams are at. And then they can get a wide receiver with the second pick. So just like, who did I have doing that? Just like the Chargers, the Rams will also do the same. Or just like the Bears, the Jets will do the same. They'll get their tackle, or they'll get two really good guys instead of just one higher guy and then just waiting for the third round. I think that's the best option for the Bears and the Jets to trade out of 9 and 10, get a still first pick, first pick. Technically, I don't count the Bears' first pick as a first pick, because it's really not. It's the Panthers, so I say their first pick a little bit later in the first round and get a second. Like the Jets will get a second with this trade with the Rams. So get a first, get a second, instead of waiting for the first and the third round. So this is a really good move, I think, for the Los Angeles Rams. The Patriots trade down. They get, in my opinion, the third best quarterback in this draft class in Michael Penix Jr. He was hurt a little bit, which is why people might not like him, but I think he's a guy that you still have Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield. People forget about that guy. I think if he can hand the ball off to him 22 times a game to 25 times a game, you'll be able to keep Penix upright, not getting hurt. And I think Michael Penix, if they find him a good offensive coordinator, and for some reason they stick with him for longer than a year and a half like they're doing now, ride him out for a couple years, at least 3, they'll see, and build around him. I think this Patriots team will still have the dynamic defense that they had, and they just bring in, by trading down a little bit, they'll bring in another wide receiver, maybe in the early 40s, or even with their 20th pick, or 20-something pick. But Michael Penix Jr. to the Patriots, I like that. How about that? The Broncos are up. The Broncos get J.J. McCarthy. Well, I don't think... I think the reason why J.J. McCarthy was propped up so much, I think he is a pretty good quarterback. I don't think he'll be a top-tier Super Bowl contending year in, year out quarterback, but this is another guy that if you can build around him, I think he has potential to be Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins, more mobile Kirk Cousins, maybe even Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron, not in the Super Bowl day in, day out, year in, year out, I mean. But he is competing for a chip, usually year in, year out in the playoffs. So with this pick, and I think J.J. McCarthy, a little bit more mobile, a little bit more accurate arm down the field than Bo Nix, which is why I like this pick with the Denver Broncos testing Harbaugh's defense, testing the defense of the Chiefs and the defense of the Raiders. Give this guy the ball, give this guy a nice line, give this guy a good back that they can get later in the rounds to hand the ball off, leave some pressure. J.J. McCarthy is going to be a guy that just puts the ball where it needs to be, just like Drew Brees did back in the day. Although that's not the comp I have for McCarthy. I think I think Rattler's more so like Drew Brees because he's a smaller guy. But nevertheless, do I have another quarterback going in the first round? No, I do not. Second round, I think I have Bo Nix and Rattler going in the second because all these quarterbacks went off the board. And actually, the Falcons, teaser for the Falcons, I'm not going to do the second round, like I said, but I think they had put out that they're still looking for another quarterback. So I think Bo Nix to the Falcons in the second round. They'll pick him up because they want a guy to learn from Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a good guy that they should, the Vikings should have kept and still brought in another young guy to learn from him. But nevertheless, that's J.J. McCarthy going to the Denver Broncos. J.C. Latham going to the Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders. I think Bama's just a better program than the other programs like Penn State, Oregon State, and the other ones. I just think J.C. Latham, I don't think you should be looking for upside in a tackle like I was saying. Get the best guy available that did the best at where he was at in college, because the the competition is getting better once you go to the NFL. So if you're playing NFL quality people at the college that you were at, J.C. Latham, Alabama, I think he'll do very well with the Las Vegas Raiders. I also see the Raiders, they can probably go Quinyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold or Nate Wiggins, my number one cornerback. But because the coach is a defensive coach. But Aiden O'Connell didn't look too bad, I don't think. Gardner Minshew, he can stay upright in the pocket, I think, at least half a year, and they can have a developmental Spencer Rattler. I think I have Spencer going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Either Spencer or Bo will go to the Raiders, I believe. Excuse me. Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State, goes to the New Orleans Saints. This guy, I think he's just built like an offensive tackle. The reason why I chose Latham over Fashanu, I think Latham is 365 and Fashanu is 325. But Fashanu looks built like an offensive tackle. Latham, I think he's just, like I said, the competition is just much better in Alabama. But that's Olu Fashanu. Saints go to the Penn State. Olu Fashanu, Penn State goes to the New Orleans Saints. And like I was teasing, defensive guy goes top 15 to the Bears. Instead of picking him at 9, drop down to 15. He'll still be there. Laiatu Laiatu from UCLA. This guy has tremendous speed, tremendous dip in his body. He can maneuver his body around a tackle. I think he hand fights a little bit too much, which is why he's the third guy. But his upside is there. I don't think he's a guy that... And then because he got his neck injury, I think this is why I think this guy is going to go later in the first round. But he shouldn't drop to the 20s, I don't think. I think the Bears would be smart to pick him up. If you even get just 6 years out of this guy, 4 years even, I think the Bears are going to be a Super Bowl contender. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. I think it'll take Caleb maybe a year to really get grooving. He'll probably start playing really good in week 10, week 11, and then they're just going to roll into the playoffs maybe, like the Green Bay Packers did this last year. But I think this team is going to be really good. They just signed their cornerback. I was thinking they should go 2 double cornerbacks, lock down both sides. But an edge rusher along with their defensive tackle that they got, Sweat, I think would be just even better, icing on the cake for them. And then they already have their 2 wide receivers. I didn't see them going another wide receiver. Even though Keenan Allen's only going to be there a year, I think if you sign Keenan to another 2 years, he can do that. 2 years, $60 million with $35 guarantee or something like that. $40 guaranteed, I think. I think Keenan Allen will win a Super Bowl with the Bears next year. But that's the Bears. Laiatu. Pick 15. Pick 16. I got the Green Bay Packers trading up for pick 16. My number 1 cornerback, Nate Wiggins. A lot of people said, and I didn't like hearing it at first, but once I turned on his game tape, he was just the guy that I thought in coverage was really good. People were saying his tackling ability wasn't all that great, but I think his speed was there. He can put on he looked a little skinny in the combine, but that was probably for the combine 40-yard dash. I think this guy will put on a little bit of weight, be bigger, and then play bigger guys like Xavier Legette. He played him really good in that game. And then he played Malik Neighbors, some guy that's totally different. He played LSU really good. Everyone was saying, though, his tackling ability was something to look after. Tackles getting broken, but I think that's something that can be coachable, and his elite coverage and his speed is just something that cornerbacks, I think people are overlooking this draft, and Green Bay has a shot to get one of these three top cornerbacks in their position, but I just don't think Seattle's the fit for this pick right here. I think we are a team that will go ahead and trade down with either Green Bay, which has a second, their later getting their later second and their 25th overall pick, and Green Bay is a team that isn't building. They're trying to go win that Super Bowl this year. I think Seattle's another team like the Bears that have maybe another year just because of the new coaches and familiarity with the team. But I think Seattle, like the Bears, is a team that can get in the playoffs this year by striking late. But Nate Wiggins to the Green Bay Packers, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see him in a Seattle Seahawks uniform a little bit more, but I like that pick for them. People were saying Green Bay could get Cooper DeJean. I think the injury is going to hold him down a little bit more. I don't think he's going to play as aggressive. And then I think Quinion Mitchell, smaller school. You don't know how the competition was with that. He played good in Mobile, but that's just a small sample size. And then Terrion Arnold, I wasn't as high with him. I think I liked even Kool-Aid more than him. So because Kool-Aid wasn't getting picked on as much as Terrion one was. I see Terrion Arnold as some guy that can be a corner, but also he started off as safety. So he could possibly move back to safety and be a really pretty good safety, maybe even a nickel or a dime package guy for a team for Terrion. But again, Nate Wiggins from the Clemson Tigers goes to the Green Bay Packers. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they get a corner also. They get the first projected corner that should go off the board in Quinion Mitchell. This guy is physical. This guy, people say, are reminding them of Witherspoon on the Seattle Seahawks. So, I mean, usually the Jacksonville Jaguars, as we've seen before, they had a top 5 pick in 2016, I believe, with Jalen Ramsey, which is still one of the top corners. His longevity is really good in the league. So if Jacksonville can produce and keep this guy learning ball more, playing, getting more experience with better guys, covering guys like a Christian Kirk at practice, which I believe he's very underrated, but is a slot guy and should be a number 2 guy. I think Jacksonville is also a sleeper team that could move up for Rome Odunze if he falls to like pick 9 or 10. And I think Quinion Mitchell's just a guy that can go either as high as to the Raiders or as low as probably to the Eagles, just because of his school. But Quinion Mitchell, that's a really good cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We have Talisi Fuaga going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Out of the tackles that went before, I wouldn't like the Chargers to move down this much. But people are comping this guy to go to the Chargers. If I were Harbaugh, I would not trade down this far. But I mean, if the Bengals give them a picks that they can't refuse, I gave away the Bengals first, which is pick 18, their second rounder for this year, and their second rounder for next year, for them to go get Rome Odunze, because they're going to probably move off of T. Higgins, like I said, next year. So Rome Odunze will have a rookie contract with them, and I just think out of all these tackles, I don't see quite Talisi Fuaga. His body shape is just a little different. His legs don't look as big. His arms don't look as big. He looks like a blob with like short arms and short legs. So I don't know. Maybe he's a guard later, but people are saying he has really good hits. He's a good pass rush guy. Maybe not the best run block guy, but if Harbaugh can get J.C. Latham or Olu Fushanu, I think those guys are more Harbaugh taste guys. Just bigger, solid, look like offensive tackles. But I didn't like Michigan's tackles or guards either, but maybe he can work with a guy like Talisi Fuaga, which is not maybe the greatest athlete, but he can get the best out of him. So Talisi Fuaga, pick 18 from Oregon State to the Los Angeles Chargers as Jim Harbaugh's first pick. Troy Fautanu. I think this guy, he's a little shorter than Fuaga, but he just looks more muscular. He looks more mobile also. I think this is a really good pick for the Jets. If they want this guy at pick 10, I wouldn't say it's a bad pick, but they can get a second rounder and drop down in the board for this guy. And I think he'll still be there because this guy, I think he's underrated. And although maybe he won't be because of his size at 6'4", won't be an offensive tackle because these defensive ends are getting so big, that an offensive guard for this guy for the first year at least for Aaron Rodgers is really going to be nice for him. And then if they need him to, if one of those guys get hurt, like Ty Smith, they need him to go to offensive tackle. He knows. I think he's smart enough to be an offensive tackle in the league to cover. But I think also something that people aren't understanding is Michael Penix was a lefty. So I think he can possibly be an offensive tackle at the right guard position for a right-handed quarterback. I don't think he'll be a left tackle, but I think Troy Fautanu has a chance to be a really good guard or an offensive tackle that could be on the right side. So Washington's Troy Fautanu goes to the Jets, and the Jets also can pick up a wide receiver I think I got them Ricky Pearsall or Roman Wilson as their second round guys. So, I mean, if they're getting those two guys, and I'm not as high on Ricky because all I think I saw was just the catch. I saw his highlight tape, but I just think Roman Wilson's a better catcher of the football. I think Roman Wilson is an underrated player in this year's draft. And I think if they can get Roman Wilson, that's even better.
Okay, I found this on the web for this year's draft, and I think if they can get Roman Wilson.
Amarius Mims to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Pittsburgh will be a smart team. Get this guy, Amarius Mims. He looked real mobile in the combine as a 6'7" guy. Real lengthy. Also an SEC guy like Amarius Mims. Like J.C. Latham. I think Amarius Mims and Troy Fautanu are guys that are dropping and should go higher. I just think this guy, like I said, with J.C. Latham, you're not at the offensive tackle position. I don't think you're wanting guys that need to be molded. I think you're going to want guys, and that's why we're seeing offensive tackles nowadays go in the top first round picks. Really good ones at that. 7 guys, 6 guys, 5 guys. Go offensive tackle. Go in the first round for teams because these guys are hard to pass up. So Amarius Mims, a guy that played for SEC, a guy that played against the best talent. He's a guy that can be in the starting lineup for Russell Wilson. So Amarius Mims, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think one of these two teams, the Steelers and the Jets, one of them will get Ricky Pearsall, and one of them will get Roman Wilson. I think Russell just needs one more wide receiver. I'd love to see them with a DK-like guy and Xavier Legette, but I think he's just the guy that's just going to go right to the Panthers, Xavier Legette at 33. I just really like his game. He's a guy that can go in the middle, catch passes, catch high deep balls. I thought Xavier Legette and Rattler were 2 guys that got slept on because their team wasn't as great. Their offensive line group was horrible, and I don't think their offensive game was as good either. But Amarius Mims goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is one that I can see happening because they lost so many guys. But Bo Nix is still on the board. And if they want to move off Tua, Bo Nix is right there for the coach, Mike McDaniels. But Byron Murphy, I think he's the quicker off-the-ball guy, off-the-ball defensive tackle. His potential reminds me of Aaron Donald. I think this guy is being slept on. I think if the Rams don't see as much as a difference in Jared Verse and Byron Murphy, and let's say Laiatu, they can stick and pick. But I think the Rams are going to be just a team that goes up for a guy like Jared Verse, maybe even Dallas Turner with the Falcons. But I think Byron Murphy, Tampa Bay can even climb up to 21, and they can either go get Graham Barton, but I think Byron Murphy is a better player than Graham Barton. Graham Barton's really good, but if Tampa doesn't want him now, I think the Dolphins should get him with the 21st pick. Pick 22, Terrion Arnold falls to the Philadelphia Eagles, cornerback. I think he's just a good character guy, which is why he'll work in Philadelphia. I liked his game a little bit more than Cooper DeJean. He's a slimmer guy. He's fast. He knows how to read routes. He seems very smart. He's knowledgeable of the game. Seems just like a guy that Philly would like. A guy that just loves the game of football. So, Terrion Arnold, I like Kool-Aid more because you didn't hear and you didn't see Kool-Aid get picked on as much. Maybe because Kool-Aid didn't guard the best receiver. Who knows? But Terrion Arnold goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Just a high character guy, always smiling. I just think this guy has the potential to be one of the better cornerbacks coming soon. If he gets in the right place like Green Bay, Philadelphia, if he goes to a good squad, and he's able to be just a reliable piece that just loves the football. Tyler Guyton. The tackles drop off after Amarius Mims, I believe. So Tyler Guyton, he goes to the Patriots. He didn't move as quickly, but Oklahoma, I was looking at it. Oklahoma is a team that usually has the best quarterback or the most quarterbacks that come to the NFL. So they naturally would probably want better offensive lineman guys. So if the Patriots can get Michael Penix Jr. and this guy from Oklahoma, Tyler Guyton, I think he'll have a half year of sitting in back. But if some guy gets hurt or he's worthy enough to come off the bench and play some offensive tackle position and start, if the Patriots start not looking as well, which they probably will be, Tyler Guyton is a good guy for Michael Penix Jr. to have. So Tyler Guyton, number 23. And then I also, Brian Thomas Jr., I'm not so high on. I think he's a guy that can fall to them at pick 40. Just because he wasn't the first read for Jaden Daniels, those neighbors. But he also wasn't the second either. The second guy, his name is Kyron Slay, I believe. And I think this guy will do really good. Tyron Slay in the next level. He's a guy to look out for in the 2025 NFL draft. But I think that's why if the Patriots can hold off on Brian Thomas Jr., they can get a guy like Troy Franklin maybe. If he falls, Adonai Mitchell, just a wide receiver, or even if they like Brian Thomas Jr., I just don't think they should bite on a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. at pick 23 because he's going to pick 23. I think Tyler Guyton is a guy that has the potential upside to, because of where he played, to be a really good starter. Jackson Powers Johnson drops to pick 24 for the Dallas Cowboys, my dad's team. The Dallas Cowboys, they're in a sticky situation. If they had 2 seconds, they would probably go up and pick and grab something, but I think they're missing 1 or 2 draft picks, which isn't good. So I think they're just going to pick best guy available. They're going to want offensive tackle or just some guy on the O-line. Do you think they should go Graham Barton? I don't know. Tyler Guyton was a guy that I just didn't see fitting Dallas. I saw that needed more of a year or two, or a half a year, but I thought Jackson Powers Johnson is a guy that can just be in the past game, help Dak Prescott out, and see if the Dallas Cowboys can make a push. But Dallas, I have them going in the second round. Everyone has them going running back. I have them go Jalen Polk. I think he would be a stud number 2 for CeeDee Lamb. He was a stud number 2 for Rome Odunze. Jalen Polk is a guy that I see Dallas should go get in the second round. And if Marshawn Lloyd falls to them at pick in the third round, pick up that guy. I would hold off on the Jonathan Brooks running back because of the ACL. ACLs, like you look at Odell Beckham Jr., doesn't run the same after the ACL injury. I think the best guy available for the Dallas Cowboys is Jackson Powers Johnson here. Like I said, if they could, they would jump up and try to go get one of J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims if they drop. But I think those guys are just better guys than the offensive tackles that they had on the board. I think Dallas is just a place that offensive tackles can be developed, and a center they need. I'm hearing they're needing a center, so Jackson Powers Johnson, the best center out there. This draft goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Seattle Seahawks. Darius Robinson is a guy that's getting slept on. I think everyone's saying he's going after Chop Robinson. I think Darius Robinson, he has longer arms, he's taller, and he's heavier, and I think he just fits in the Mike Macdonald scheme. He's 6'5", 295 pounds as a defensive end. I think he has the potential and I saw it at Missouri against LSU, lining up at nose. So he can line up anywhere, at the 5, at the 4, at the 3, at the 9 for Mike Macdonald. So I think Darius Robinson is just the guy that the Seahawks would like to have. He's too early at pick 20, at pick 16, but at pick 25, if they want to reach at Darius Robinson, I think, and this guy's bull rush. His bull rush is insane. The only thing is, he may not be a 3-down guy, which is okay if we can get that bull rush and we can give him a couple moves. I think the Seattle Seahawks can move, and then if we can get on top of that Green Bay's second round pick by trading down with them, and we can go get a middle linebacker like Junior Colson from Michigan. There's our team already. We just need an offensive guard. Now they can either go Darius Robinson, which I would like more, but they can also go and snipe Graham Barton from the Buccaneers. I think this is why I went Darius Robinson. I think Darius is just a better player than Graham Barton. I think Graham Barton is a really good player, but and he can fit in a lot of places. But what John Snyder was saying, offensive guards don't usually go as high, and they shouldn't. Those guys are just guys that can be not like offensive tackles where they need to be super high off the board, and they need to know how to play the position at a high level. But those guys are more guys that can be molded at the offensive guard position. So that's why I kind of moved off of Graham Barton, even though he played offensive tackle for Seattle. For Duke, I think he has shorter arms and a shorter guy. He'll be a pretty good center like the Bucks need, or an offensive guard. But I just think Darius Robinson's upside, not knowing any moves but a bull rush, and his size and his versatility works best with the new defensive coach, Darius Robinson. Now, Graham Barton, I spoke just briefly about him. He's just, like I said, he's a guy that can line up anywhere. So the Bucks, if they need a tackle, maybe they bounce him out a couple games, but they can. He's versatile. This is why it was so hard for me to pick Darius Robinson or Graham Barton for the Seahawks. I think he's just a versatile guy for them. Graham Barton on the other side on the offense. Jer'Zhan Newton goes to the Arizona Cardinals with their second first round pick. They could go Kool-Aid McKinstry, or they could go Cooper DeJean, but I think Jer'Zhan Newton, he's a bigger guy. I think that the corner position, I think that the defensive line position drops down more than the cornerback position. So you go best player available. After pick, I would say, after pick 23, even up here, it's no man's land. In pick 16, 17, 18, I think just it gets really hard for a guy that is a team that has a first round pick, but teams don't want to trade up for a first round pick. It's just hard for them to find first round talent. These guys are getting skipped 25 times, 26 times in the first round. Doesn't mean they're necessarily horrible players, but the difference in their game compared to the number 2, the second rounders, isn't that drastic. Teams aren't trying to move up for these guys. So I think the defensive line position in Jer'Zhan Newton, like I said, it falls off more for the Arizona than the cornerback position, and I think they can get a corner in the early second, which they have. They have a pick in the early second. So the way that Arizona really has their picks set up is really nice for them as a developmental team. If they can get Malik Neighbors, my number 1, if they can get Jer'Zhan Newton, the second defensive tackle projected, I think that'll be good. And then they get another corner, top 6, 7 corner in the second round. I think that'll be the best positions they do given the draft. So Troy Franklin is a guy that's also getting slept on. People are saying Adonai Mitchell isn't quite the guy that can get open. It's more Xavier Worthy. but I think Troy Franklin was a true number one for Bo Nix. And he will be a true number one for Josh Allen. I think he's a guy that maybe can put on a couple pounds. And he's a player that's, I think people are, like I'm saying over and over again, these guys are getting slept on, and a couple guys are just in this round. It's hard to choose who's a number one draft pick and who's a number two draft pick. These guys aren't really differentiating. You can mix and match who you like. I like Troy Franklin. I would like Troy Franklin. He knows how to play in weather. To the Bills, Troy Franklin for Josh Allen. Cooper DeJean goes to the Lions. The Detroit Lions, they just lost Cortland Sutton. Not Cortland Sutton, I'm sorry. They lost Patrick Surtain. No, it's not Patrick Surtain either. They lost a cornerback because he did something stupid. So the Lions lost a cornerback, so they get another cornerback in Cooper DeJean. I'd like to see Kool-Aid there, but Cooper DeJean, he's getting projected higher. So there the Lions bite on a guy that should play good, but for me it's the injury thing. And because it happened last year, I think he'll just be a guy that doesn't show out this year, and that's what they need. The Lions need a guy that shows out this year, which if I'm redoing this draft, Cooper DeJean goes lower. Kool-Aid goes, we get blue Kool-Aid in Detroit. But right after that, Baltimore knows how to just pick players and not second guess. Baltimore gets another corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. We get purple Kool-Aid, I guess. Purple Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Baltimore Ravens. Not much to say. I talked about him with Terrion Arnold. He wasn't a guy to get picked on. I think Terrion got picked on more, maybe because he set up the wide receivers and their quarterbacks to do that, or maybe because he was just the offensive team's offensive coordinator saw that Kool-Aid was just a more lockdown corner than Terrion. Who knows? I think but I don't have Terrion going in the teens. I have him going 22 to the Eagles. But I just don't think there's a big difference in these guys. I think Kool-Aid's getting looked over. But I think the personality aspect, people are talking about Terrion Arnold, and that's why a lot of these draft picks in the early first round, it's their personality that really shows up. Are they a leader? That's what really teams are looking for. Are they leaders? Are they worthy of being captain soon? And that's why they're getting picked first round. Caleb Williams, he's a guy that's going to be a captain soon. That's why I think that's a big reason why people were talking about Justin Fields. He was a good captain. And that's why they probably got close to him, because he was a first-round guy. But Kool-Aid McKinstry, he's a guy that's getting looked over. I think he'll just do just fine, and he's going from one good quarter coach to another really good coach in John Harbaugh. So, and a good program from Alabama to Baltimore, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Jordan Morgan goes to the San Francisco 49ers. I think after Kool-Aid is where corners start to fall off just a little bit. And I think after Jordan Morgan, offensive tackles guys really start to fall off. Jordan Morgan played at Arizona. Decently good program. Didn't hear too much about Morgan, but I think he's in the 6'4", 6'5"-ish. So he could probably go to guard like Troy Fatanu for a little bit and get molded behind that big tackle. I'm blanking on his name. In San Francisco, and maybe he can bounce out the tackle soon for Purdy. But yeah, I would like San Francisco to maybe hop up and get Kool-Aid. If I'm the GM thinking right now, but I think if I'm a Seahawks fan, I don't want them to get Kool-Aid. I don't want them to get a good corner. I want them to have a developmental guy. And I think after this Super Bowl run, San Francisco is going to cool down a little bit and rethink of how they want to continue their NFL years going forward. I think they're going to hit a hard rebuild come this year if things don't work so well, which I think I'm not trying to say it should happen, and I'm not wishing upon it, even though I'm a Seahawks fan. I just think someone's going to get hurt. McCaffrey plays too much. Devo plays too much. They need to spread the ball out. Maybe even Ayuk leaves. Who knows? Williams gets hurt at the tackle position. Who knows? But yeah, San Francisco, if they can't move up, they go get, if they can't move up for a star cornerback, they go get offensive tackle. I think if Nate Wiggins falls, I would hate to see him in a San Francisco 49ers uniform. That would be horrible. And everyone is saying Xavier Worthy to the Kansas City Chiefs. Everyone's saying he's better than Adonai Mitchell. My comp for Xavier Worthy is because he's so skinny but so fast. It's not Tyreek. It's actually CeeDee Lamb. And if the Chiefs are to get a CeeDee Lamb guy, I think this is a big, big play that the Chiefs could get. I would also like to see Worthy go to the Lions. That would be interesting. But, or to, who else? Maybe to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but everyone else is there. Those are pieces that are really needs for them, and those are just the best player available. I think KC just gets lucky with this pick with Xavier Worthy running like he did. But if he can put just another 10 pounds on him, learn a little bit more in that offense, this guy could be a stud. Work with his hips more, ball tracking, but he's a good open field guy. He's a good deep ball guy for Patty Mahomes, which as an AFC Bengals fan, I would really like to see the Chiefs knock off them and win a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow celebrating again, and New Orleans, but who knows if KC is able to get Xavier Worthy, they may get that three-peat. All right, guys, and I'll leave you off with Xavier Legette to the Carolina Panthers. This is just another guy that I just really like. Xavier Legette goes to the Carolina Panthers. Big body receiver goes along with the skinny Deontay Johnson. For Bryce Young, I think Bryce Young is a slept-on quarterback, and we shall see him make the playoffs soon, real soon. Maybe not this year, but soon. But that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. See, I have Patriots getting Brian Thomas Jr., Enos Rakestraw goes to Arizona. Kingsley Suamatea. Washington gets Daniels, an offensive tackle. Keon Coleman, big body receiver. Young goes to the Chargers. Demarius Robinson, Chop Robinson, Chop Robinson goes to the Titans. Chris Braswell goes to another Alabama guy, goes to the Panthers. Edgerrin Cooper. This is a pick I really like for Dan Quinn, DQ, just because Bobby is there. Bobby Wagner. I think this is a guy that Bobby can teach up, Edgerrin Cooper, and he's projected to be the number one linebacker out of this class. So if he can land himself with Washington, I think that'd be pretty good with the years moving forward. Chris Jenkins, Green Bay, Kamari Lassiter, first pick for the Texans, and a cornerback, SEC guy, playing good talent, goes to a team that Super Bowl team that could be this year. Bo Nix, like I said, he goes to the Falcons. The Falcons are saying that they're still looking at quarterbacks, so and still want to pick up a quarterback this year. So Bo Nix, if he falls to the Falcons, I think the Falcons are gonna go get him. I didn't do very many trades in this second round, but Spencer Rattler, except for the ones that got traded in the first, but Spencer Rattler goes to the Raiders. I like that pickup. I think he's a very slept-on quarterback, and I think the Raiders are just a team that has a really good defense now. They just need a couple pieces in the offense. They have two really good wide receivers, Myers and blanking on his name, Devontae Adams. So they can get a running back with Rattler and a couple tackles and a good line. This is a Super Bowl team, or just a playoff team that can maybe hit the Super Bowl. Adonai Mitchell falls to the Saints. They are able to get a number 2 behind, who do they have right now? Behind Chris Olave, so that would be nice for them. Zach Frazier, offensive lineman, goes to offensive probably guard, really, or center. They just lost the center to the Raiders, I believe. So if he goes, if the Bears can pick him up, they probably won the first and second round easy. Patrick Paul goes to the Giants. He's a guy that can get developed a little bit more, help their quarterback just a little. I think they should go if they get sniped for some reason with picks 3, 4, and 5, and the Giants can't get a guy, a wide receiver. I think they should trade down and go get one of the elite offensive tackles for the hurt or a new quarterback. But Peyton Wilson to the Jaguars. They go defense again. I think they can pick up a wide receiver in maybe Brandon Rice, maybe really like the Burton guy, Jermaine Burton from Alabama, to go to them. But Mike Sainristil, he drops to the 49ers. I kind of want to see him go there just because he worked with he played for Jim Harbaugh, so, and I hear a lot of things about him, a lot of good leadership qualities, the CEO on the field, so to speak. That's what they're saying. Mikey Sainristil goes to the Chargers at pick 49. Pick 50, Braylon Fisk goes. They just lost their quick guy in Cox, their defensive tackle guy. So getting another fast, quick guy for defensive tackle, Braylon Fisk. And then I think it'll just drop because of his arm length. But maybe he can pass rush pretty good. Ladd McConkey drops all the way to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is just I don't see him as high as late first round people are projecting him to be. But I think he's a good quality receiver that the Pittsburgh Steelers can hit on. And then we have Roman Wilson go to the New York Jets. I probably like Roman Wilson a little bit more. He just looks faster. Ladd McConkey looks like that weird tween age in a wide receiver. Maybe it's not gonna fit so well. And I don't know. Maybe I just don't like Georgia players because I don't like Bo. I mean, Brock Bowers is high either, but I think maybe Ladd McConkey can fit well with Pittsburgh. They always draft good, solid guys in the second round, so I could be wrong at wide receivers. So, and then Roman Wilson, like I said, New York Jets, they trade down. They're able to get the tackle and their number 2 wide receiver. I don't think Roman Wilson is technically a number 2 guy. I think his game reminds me a lot of Doug Baldwin's game. So I think if he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he'll get a lot of catches from Russell Wilson. So Wilson to Wilson, that'd be real funny. Cooper Beebe drops to 53 for the Eagles' second round pick. Offensive interior lineman. They just lost Kelsey, so they'll kick probably an offensive guard inside. And they'll get this guy, Cooper Beebe, in as guard. Really high-quality guy that people are liking. Marshawn Leland, I think just because he's a smaller school guy, Marshawn, I didn't really put on tape for him, but I just went off the small school. I looked at his stats, weren't even that high either, so. But people have him high, so maybe Browns pick him up. Who knows? Kirian Armanghaji. Really offensive tackle guy from Yale. So smart guy, goes to McDaniel's defense. Goes to McDaniel's offense. Helps Tua out. Or if they get a quarterback, helps that quarterback out. Next year, if they get a quarterback next year, but Kirian Armanghaji. Don't sound that name out, just Kirian Armanghaji. I had a friend named Kirian. He had an I though. So maybe this is Kirian. His name is Kirian. And then, like I said, Jalen Polk, really good number 2 guy. Make the older Brandon Cooks be number 3 now that Michael Gallup left. So Jalen Polk, number 2. I think this is just a better spot for a wide receiver, mid-tier wide receiver than a projected running back. That if he fails, then like you guys are the team that looks like the weird team that picked the first running back off the board, and you guys can probably get a running back in the 3rd round. TJ Tampa drops to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so I thought that was kind of funny. They get a cornerback. They miss out on a cornerback. I think they get their need settled for defensive line in the 1st round, and they still get a really good quality TJ Tampa cornerback for themselves. Tampa. Seattle, I just had to have him fall to us. Junior Colson goes to Seattle. Played for Mike Macdonald in Michigan his freshman year, so he knows how the scheme is ran. Macdonald knows his personality probably already, so he's a guy that could be probably captain in a couple of years if he does fall to us, the Seahawks. T'Vondre Sweat, I don't think he should fall as much as he's fallen just because of the DUI. I think it just could be just a really good player does a really stupid mistake. And I think the Texans can pick him up, and their coach would really like that. The Bills get a safety, Tyler Nubin, with their defensive coordinator coach that they had, the first safety off the board. He slides. People are saying maybe mid-40s. I think he'll slide just because of the talent that is still of it. That would still be available in the 2nd round. Rook Aurora goes to the 61 overall pick to the Lions. They also need defensive line help, and this is, I think, where players start to go downhill as opposed for defensive tackle and altogether. Let's finish this up. We got a couple more. Blake Corum goes to the Baltimore Ravens, which sucks because he's a hurt guy, or used to be hurt, going to a place that I believe is the worst place for running backs to go. For some reason, they always get hurt there in Baltimore. So good luck to Blake Corum, but I think Michigan played for the brother. Jim goes and plays for John. Blake Corum in the Ravens uniform. How about them? We had a shorter running back, mix it up with the big heavy guy in Derrick Henry. So you got a big back, got a small back. Then you can evaluate maybe a wide receiver later in the rounds. And then Max Melton with cornerback goes to the Niners. The Niners get to pick up a cornerback like they were looking at in the 1st round, but just couldn't trade up. They get a cornerback of the future, Max Melton. I like his aggressiveness. His combine was pretty good too. And then finishing off, I have T.J. Sanders. JT Sanders. Sorry. JT Sanders. John Tavion Sanders to the Chiefs. They know how to use tight ends. Get Kelsey's heir apparent. I don't think this guy can drop lower than the 1st round or the 2nd round. So I think Casey picks him up and they just get loaded on the offensive side. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked what your team is picking or didn't, let me know in the comments. But thank you so much. Have a good one.